Alright, so here are the video notes for 9.5, your first distance learning video lesson. So good luck. Here we go. We're going to start with just a few vocabulary words. Sine, cosine, and angle of depression. The sine is just what we would call, get a pen out here, a trigonometric ratio that involves the opposite side over the hypotenuse. The cosine then, I'll try to do cosine stuff today in green, is also a trigonometric ratio, but it involves the adjacent leg. I guess I wrote side up there. I'll keep that consistent. Adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Now, an angle of depression, you're going to have some word problems that use this. So let's just have a note of that. It's going to be used in word problems. And the angle depression, the best way to look at it is if you have horizontal segment and then the angle that is going down. So this is always the angle of depression. It's kind of like if you're standing up here and you're looking down. The angle looking down. You wouldn't be looking up. Let's just write that. Looking down angle. All right. So here are just some further your formal definitions here for sine and cosine ratios. So if we let some triangle ABC be a right triangle with acute angles A, so remember that's kind of like we're located at A, and that helps us determine from A what is the opposite leg to A and what is the adjacent leg to A. So that's really important of where you're taking the sine and cosine ratios from. You really got to pay attention to what angle we're talking about here. I think the best way to just kind of get into this is to do some examples. But we'll just remember sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, and the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. All right, so let's scroll down here. We'll get into the practice here right away. So we're asked to find sine F, sine G, cosine F, and cosine G. So let's first just look at being located or talking about the ratios from F. Okay, so if I'm at F here, what is the ratio of the opposite leg to F over the hypotenuse? Well, the opposite, I like to draw an arrow. It's just right across from the angle. It's not the leg that is next to it. Remember, adjacent means next to. So in this case, if I'm talking about the sine from angle F, that's going to be the side of 12. Now, what's the hypotenuse? Well, the nice thing about the hypotenuse is it's always just the hypotenuse. It doesn't matter what angle you're from. It's just either it's always just there. It's across from that right angle. Now, in a lot of these problems, we're going to ask you to round it to 4 places. So let's just jump over to a calculator real quick. I'm going to do 12 divided by 13. Okay, and I'm going to get 0.923. I got to round up here. This is going to be 0.9231. Okay, so this is 0.9231. All right, so I'm running a little bit out of space here. Let's now do the cosine from f. Now the cosine is going to be that adjacent side to where f is. And that adjacent side is the 5. So if I'm going to talk about the cosine of f, that means it's going to be 5 and then over the hypotenuse, which is 13. All right, go to my calculator here. Clear it out. 5 divided by 13, 0.3846. Good, good there. And then it asks me to do the same thing from G. So now G, I'm going to switch locations. If I'm at G, now I got to go from G. Well, what's the opposite from G? So I'll kind of write this up here. The sine ratio from G, well, that's now 5 over 13. And notice that the sine of G and the cosine of F are the same thing. So this is going to be 0.3846. And then lastly, let's do I'm running out of space, I'll do it over here. The cosine from G, well, the cosine from G, that's going to be that adjacent side, which is now the 12 from where G is, over the hypotenuse is 13. And again, notice that the cosine of G is the same thing as the sine of G. So I already know this to be 0.9231. And so for 2 and 3, you would really just do the same thing. If you'd like to practice those on here, you're welcome to. But that is all I'm going to do for this lesson. So your practice set, you're just going to be setting up the ratios. You can look on, there's practice on a worksheet, and then of course you'll be submitting your big ideas online problems for this as well. All right, good luck.